They called us weak, broke our alliance under the shadow of a dying star, left us burning on 3 continents. But that wasn't the whole truth. Not for Eli Dot. Eli didn't live on a battlefield or command a fleet. He lived in a small coastal town, where the sea met the cliffs, where the wind carried salt and silence. And 2 years ago, his best friend Mara had moved away. It wasn't war. It wasn't glassed cities or broken alliances. But to Eli, it felt the same. Mara had been his person since 3rd grade, when she sat beside him after he dropped his lunch tray and said, "I hate peas too." She was the one who stayed up with him during thunderstorms, who laughed at his bad jokes, who knew when he was sad, even when he smiled. She was the first to say, "You're not alone," and the last to leave when things got hard. Then her family got transferred, her dad's job, halfway across the world. One day she was there, walking to school with him, and the next she was gone. At first, they texted every day, and every week, and only on birthdays. Now, nothing. Eli sat on the edge of the cliff every evening, watching the sun sink into the sea. He brought his old tablet, the one with their old messages still saved. He'd scroll through them, not to read, but to feel, to remember her voice, her laugh, the way she used to say, "Hey, space boy, you thinking too hard again?" He missed her, not in a loud way, not with tears or shouting, but in the quiet moments when he saw a red umbrella in the rain, hers, or heard a song she loved, or when the wind blew just right. He wanted to reach out. But how? What if she didn't care anymore? What if she had new friends, a new life, and he was just a memory she'd tucked away? So he stayed silent. And the distance grew. One evening, as Eli sat on the cliff, a storm rolled in. Not a big one, just dark clouds and a steady rain. He didn't move. He let the drops fall on his face, cold and soft. His tablet sat beside him. Screen dark. Then a sound. A ping. He looked down. His tablet lit up. Message from Mara. His heart stopped, then raced. "Hey, I saw the weather report for your town. Storm incoming. Just wanted to make sure you weren't sitting on that cliff, getting soaked again." "You always did." Eli stared. She remembered. After 2 years, she remembered. His fingers shook as he typed. "I am. And I am. Soaked." A pause. "Ben, figures. You never listen. And then, miss you, Eli." 3 words, but they cracked something open inside him. He typed back, slowly, "I miss you too." "I didn't know how to say it." "You just did," she replied. And just like that, the silence broke. They talked all night. Not about the years lost, but about now, her new city, her job at a science lab, her cat that hated water. He told her about the lighthouse restoration project he was helping with, how he'd started painting, badly, and how he still hated peas. She laughed. He could hear it. And for the first time in years, Eli didn't feel alone. The next day, he walked into town with his head up. The sun was out. The sea sparkled. Old Mr. Teller at the post office said, "You look different." Eli smiled. "I talked to Mara last night." "Ah," Mr. Teller said, nodding. "Took you long enough." Eli blinked. "You knew?" "Kid, you've been staring at that cliff like it holds answers for 2 years." Everyone knew. Eli laughed. That evening, he sat on the cliff again. But this time, he wasn't alone. On the screen, Mara's face appeared through a video call. "You're still sitting in the same spot," she said. "Some things don't change," he said. "Good," she said softly. "Some things shouldn't." They watched the sunset together, her in her apartment, halfway across the world, him on the cliff above the sea. Distance was still there. Time zones, busy lives, miles. But it didn't feel like a wall anymore. It felt like a bridge. And Eli realized something. Humans aren't weak. because we feel loss. We're strong because we reach back, because we remember, because even when someone leaves, we don't have to stop caring. We just have to press send. They called us weak. Broke our alliance under the shadow of a dying star. Left us burning on 3 continents. But they forgot one thing humans don't forget. We rebuild. We adapt. When the time comes, we take back what matters. They came with all they had and still lost, because no storm, no war, no distance can break what humans choose to hold on to. Asterisk in the weeks after that first message, Eli and Mara talked more. Not every day, but often. Texts, voice notes, a few video calls. It wasn't like before, when they could walk to the beach together, or sit in silence without it feeling strange. But it was something. And for Eli, that was enough. Still, he noticed things. Mara sounded tired. Her words were quick, like she was always in a rush. She'd pause mid-sentence, distracted. Once he saw her rub her temple during a call. "Long day," she said. "Lab work never ends." Eli didn't push, but he worried. He remembered how she used to be full of energy, asking questions, always curious. She once spent a whole weekend tracking migrating birds, just to see if they followed the coast like she thought. Now, she talked about deadlines, budgets, pressure. "I just don't feel like myself," she admitted one night. "It's like I'm running, but I forgot where I'm going." Eli didn't know what to say. He wanted to help. But how could he? He was far away. He wasn't a doctor. He wasn't even their Dot, so he did the only thing he could. He watched Dot not in a strange way. But he paid attention. He listened to her voice. Noticed when she smiled less. When she stopped telling stories. When she said, "I'm fine," but her eyes said otherwise. And then he remembered something. When they were kids, Mara used to keep a journal. Not for secrets, for ideas. For sketches of birds, stars, machines she wanted to build. She called it her mind garden. One day, after a bad week, Eli had found it open on her desk. He read one line. Today felt heavy, but tomorrow might grow something new. He never forgot that Dot, so he started thinking, what if he could help her grow something new? Not with words, not with advice, but with memory. Eli went to the attic of his house. Dusty, quiet, full of old boxes. He found the one labeled Mara Junk in his mom's handwriting. Inside, drawings, seashells, a broken flashlight they tried to fix, a CD of songs they made in 6th grade, the Cliffside Duo. They called themselves, and most importantly, her old journal. He opened it carefully. Page after page of her handwriting. Ideas, dreams, little things. What if clouds could sing? Or design a suit that lets you breathe underwater without tanks. And in the corner of one page, a sketch of a small device with solar wings and a tiny camera. Bird spy drone, she'd written. Watch nature without disturbing it. Eli smiled. She had always wanted to build that. But life got busy. School, moving, work. The dream got buried. Now, Eli looked at the sketch. And he had an idea. He didn't know how to build drones. But he knew people. Mr. Teller, the postman, used to work in engineering. Eli asked him for help. Then he went to the high school's robotics club, showed them the sketch. This was her dream, he said. Can we build it? They said yes. For weeks they worked. Used spare parts, solar cells from old satellites, a lightweight frame from a broken drone. Eli painted the wings blue, the same shade as the sea near the cliff. He recorded a small message and loaded it into the drone's memory. Hey, space girl, you left this behind. Thought you might want it back. Then, one clear morning, he launched it. Not to her. Not yet. First, It flew over their old places, the school, the beach, the cliff, the lighthouse. It recorded video, sound, even the smell of salt and pine from its sensors. It followed the path they used to walk every day. Then Eli packed it all into a small box, added the drone, the journal, a photo of them laughing in the rain, and a note. Some ideas are too good to lose. Just like some friends. He shipped it to her. No return address. Just her name. A week passed. Eli checked his messages every hour. Nothing. Crept in. Maybe it was too much. Maybe she didn't like it. Maybe she forgot me again. Then, one rainy evening, his tablet buzzed. A video call. Mara's face appeared. Her eyes were red, but she was smiling. Really smiling. Eli, she said, her voice soft, you sent me my mind back. He didn't speak. I opened the box, she said, and for the first time in years, I felt seen. Not just remembered, but known. You didn't try to fix me. You gave me back a piece of myself I lost. She held up the drone. We flew it today, in the park. It's clumsy. It crashed twice. But it worked. And when it did, I felt like a kid again. Like I could build anything. Eli felt something warm in his chest. Like sunlight after a long winter. I just wanted you to remember, he said, that you're still you. I am, she said. And I'm coming home. Not forever, but for a visit. I want to see the cliff. I want to walk with you. And I want to finish this thing together. Eli nodded. Couldn't speak, but he didn't need to. A month later, Mara stood on the cliff, wind in her hair, the drone buzzing above them like a curious bird. They laughed as it wobbled and stabilized, soaring over the waves. You know, she said, we never really stopped being friends. We just paused. Some things don't break, Eli said. They just wait. She looked at him. You're a good human, Eli. He shrugged. I just didn't give up. And that was the truth, because humans aren't strong because we never feel lost. We're strong because when someone we care about drifts away, we don't just wait. We act out. We remember the small things. We build bridges from old sketches, from quiet love, from stubborn hope that we don't need armies or warships to change a life. Sometimes, all it takes is a journal, a drone, and the courage to send a box across the world. They called us weak. Broke our alliance under the shadow of a dying star. Left us burning. Mara came back. Not for good. Her work was still in the city. Her lab needed her, but for 3 weeks. And those weeks felt like sunlight after a long winter. She stayed with her parents, but spent every day with Eli. They walked the cliffs, fixed up the old lighthouse together, flew the drone over the sea, capturing birds, waves, the shape of the coast at sunrise. They really talked about the years apart, the loneliness, the fear that they'd changed too much to ever fit again. But they did, like two trees that grew in different directions, yet still shared the same roots. One evening, as they sat on the cliff watching the stars, Mara said, you know what I realized? I didn't just miss you. I missed this, the quiet, the sea, the way the sky looks here. I forgot how much this place shaped me. Eli nodded. Maybe we both did. She turned to him. What if we didn't have to choose? What if we could share it? Not just when I visit, but always? Eli frowned. How? Mara smiled. We build something. Something that connects us, no matter where we are. They started small. Eli had an old camera mounted on the cliffside to watch the tides. Mara suggested linking it to a live feed so she could see the sea from her apartment. Then she added audio, a small mic that picked up the wind, the waves, the cry of gulls. It's like I'm there, she said the first time she saw it. I can close my eyes and feel it. Then came the idea. What if, Mara said, we made more of these? Not just here, but in other places too? Eli didn't understand at first, but she explained. People move. People lose touch. Not because they want to, but because life pulls them apart. What if we could give them a piece of home? A real, living connection? So they began building Dot with help from the robotics club. Mr. Teller and a few volunteers. They set up small observation stations on beaches, in forests, on mountain trails. Each one had a camera, mic, and sensor for wind and temperature, all linked to a private network. And anyone who needed it, someone missing home, a student abroad, a nurse working in another country, could log in, see the view, hear the sounds, feel the place. They called it the Quiet Link. No ads, no algorithms. Just peace. And slowly, it grew. A girl in Japan could see her grandmother's garden in Greece. A soldier stationed far away listened to the rain on his childhood porch. A teacher in Canada watched the northern lights from her hometown in Norway. All because two friends decided silence didn't have to mean goodbye. Mara got bad news. Her lab was shutting down the project she'd been leading. Funding. Cut. Too soft, they said. Not urgent enough. She was heartbroken. That project was her dream, using AI to track endangered birds and protect their habitats. Years of work. Gone. Eli saw the light leave her eyes again. He knew that look. One that said, "What's the point?" That night, he didn't sleep. He thought about all the times people gave up, not because they weren't strong, but because the world made it too hard. He thought about how easy it was to lose hope when no one was listening. And then he had an idea. Not big, not loud. But human. The next day, he gathered everyone who had used the Quiet Link, not in person, online, from 10 countries, 20 voices. Dozens more watching. He spoke simply. This isn't just about missing a place. It's about holding on. About remembering who you are, even when you're far away. Mara didn't just build a feed. She built a bridge. And her bird project? That's another kind of bridge between us and nature, between now and the future. He paused. So what if we don't let it die? What if we keep it alive? People listened. And then, one by one, they responded. A coder in Ireland offered to host the data. A biologist in Kenya said her team would help collect field info. A teacher in Canada organized students to raise funds. A drone pilot in Norway volunteered to map migration routes. In 3 weeks, they rebuilt the project, not under a lab, but under people. They called it Wingspan, and it grew faster than the old one ever had. When Mara saw it, the maps, the data, the volunteers, the hope, she cried. I didn't think it could survive, she whispered. Eli smiled. You forgot something. What? Humans don't just protect what's close to them. We protect what matters even if it's far away. Mara stayed longer, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. She worked with Eli, teaching local kids about nature, expanding the Quiet Link, helping launch new stations. One evening, as the sun dipped below the sea, she said, "You know, the Krail thought they won by taking things: cities, power, control. But they missed the point." Eli raised an eyebrow. "Now you're quoting galactic war stories?" She laughed. "No, I'm saying we didn't win by fighting. We won by connecting, by refusing to let go. That's our strength. Not weapons. Not ships. This." She gestured to the drone flying above, to the screen showing a forest in Finland, a beach in Chile, a mountain in Nepal. Together, she said, "We're not just surviving. We're building." Eli looked at her, at the sky, at the world they were slowly stitching back together, one Quiet Link at a time. They called us weak. broke our alliance under the shadow of a dying star, left us burning on 3 continents. But they forgot one thing: humans don't fight with fire. We fight with memory, with kindness, with the stubborn belief that no one should have to face the world alone. We don't need fleets to make a difference. Sometimes all it takes is a camera, a dream, and someone who still cares. They came with all they had and still lost, because you can't conquer a species that turns loss into light, that builds bridges where others see walls, that says you're not forgotten and means it. That's not weakness. The world began to notice. Not governments, not armies, but people. Every day, more joined the quiet link and wingspan, a quiet movement built not on power, but on care. Parents far from home watched their children's favorite park. Refugees listened to the sounds of villages they'd lost. Scientists in icy labs shared data freely, no longer racing for fame, but working for survival. And at the center of it all were Eli and Mara, still not heroes in uniforms, still not rich or famous, just 2 friends who refused to let distance win. But not everyone liked what they saw. A big tech company, Nexera, had its own global network, fast, flashy, full of ads and tracking. They called it the future of connection. But when the quiet link grew, Nexera's users started leaving. Not in huge numbers, but enough. So they sent a message, not to the public, to Eli: we're willing to buy your project. Full acquisition. Generous offer. Let us scale it the right way. Eli didn't know what to do. He showed Mara the email. She read it slowly, then laughed a quiet, sad laugh. They don't get it, do they? She said, get what? They think this is about technology, about growth, about profit. But this was never that. This was about home, about not forgetting. You can't sell that. Eli nodded. He felt it too. Something pure, something small, but strong. So they replied, thank you, but no. This isn't for sale. 3 days later, Nexera launched Econet, a copy of the quiet link, but slicker, louder, filled with ads, pop-ups, and data collection. They called it the real connection. They even used similar names, similar designs, and at first, it worked. People downloaded it. It was easy. It was free. But soon, messages came in. I miss the quiet. Why does it feel like I'm being watched? It shows me ads for vacations while I'm listening to my mom's garden. It feels wrong. And slowly, people returned to the quiet link, not because it was better tech, not because it was faster, but because it cared. Then, Nexera changed tactics. They started blocking access to certain regions, spread rumors, unregulated, unsafe, no support, even tried to claim Mara's bird project used their data. Eli was scared. This is bigger than us, he said one night, staring at his screen. We can't fight a company like that. Mara looked out the window. The drone sat on the table, wings folded, like it was resting. No, she said. We can't fight them the way they fight. So what do we do? She turned to him. We do what we've always done. We ask for help. And so they did? Not with a press release. Not with anger. They made a short video. Just the 2 of them, sitting on the cliff, wind in their hair. Eli spoke first. We started this because we missed each other, because distance hurt. And we thought, maybe others feel that too. Mara took over. We didn't want money. We didn't want fame. We just wanted to say, you're not alone. Then Eli, now someone's trying to turn that into a product, to sell the quiet. But silence isn't a product. It's a gift. And gifts shouldn't have strings. Mara smiled. So if this matters to you, if a moment of peace, a sound from home, a memory in the wind means something, then this is yours, not ours. Not Nexera's, yours. They ended with one line, protect what matters. They uploaded it and waited. The next morning, Eli woke to a buzzing tablet. Then a ringing phone. And another. People had shared the video. Thousands, then millions. Not just users. Families. Teachers. Doctors. Soldiers. Refugees. And they didn't just watch. They acted. A teenager in Brazil set up a mirror site for the quiet link when Nexera blocked access. A group of coders in Poland released open-source tools to protect privacy. A school in Kenya started their own station, filming the savannah at dawn. In Finland, a woman whose son lived overseas printed hundreds of flyers. Your home is still here. Come listen. And taped them to bus stops. Nexera tried to respond. They sent legal threats, paid influencers to criticize them, even offered partnerships to key volunteers. But it didn't work, because people weren't just using the quiet link. They belonged to it. And belonging can't be bought. One evening, Eli and Mara stood on the sea. Even after Nexera stepped back, even after the quiet link and wingspan grew stronger, change came quietly, like the tide. Mara had to leave again. Her work was needed in a remote wildlife reserve in Patagonia. A rare bird species was vanishing. She couldn't say no. Eli stood with her at the train station, the wind tugging at their coats. You'll come back? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Of course, she said. But it might be months this time. He nodded. Tried to smile. They'd been through this before. But this time felt different. Not worse. Just deeper. They had built something real. And now, once again, distance would stretch between them. That night, Eli sat on the cliff alone. The drone rested beside him, its solar wings closed like sleeping hands. The screen showed the live feed from Mara's new station, a wide valley, snow-dusted mountains, a river winding like silver thread. She had set it up before she left. So you can see where I am, she said. And I can see you. But seeing wasn't the same as being. He missed her laugh, the way she tilted her head when thinking, the way she'd say, "Hey, space boy," like he was the only one who mattered. He typed a message. It's quiet here. Tonight. He didn't send it. Instead, he stared at the stars and thought, not just about Mara, but about everyone who felt this way, far from someone they loved, aching with silence, too shy or scared to reach out. What if the quiet link could do more? Not just show places, but connect people. Not just passively, but actively. The next morning, he called the team. Mr. Teller, the robotics club, volunteers from 5 countries. I want to build something new, Eli said. A way for people to share moments, not just watch them. They listened. What if, he said, you could send a message, not as text, not as a call, but as light, as sound, as a real moment carried across the network. Like a ripple, he explained, a small device solar-powered, weatherproof, that could receive signals from anywhere in the network. When someone sent a moment, it would play it in real time. A voice, a song, a laugh, even a heartbeat recording. And it would do it there, in the place they cared about. Imagine, a daughter in Japan sends her laughter. It plays at dawn in her father's garden in Greece. A boy in Canada records the crunch of snow under his boots. It echoes in his sister's room in Australia. Not a video. Not a notification. A presence. They called it the Echo Garden, and they built it fast. Using old parts, open source code, and help from volunteers, they created the first 10 units. Each one shaped like a smooth stone, with a soft light inside. When a message arrived, the light pulsed gently, and the sound played clear, warm, real. The first one went to Eli. He placed it on the cliff, near where he and Mara always sat. Night, He recorded a message. Just the wind, the waves. His voice quiet. This is where I think of you. Every day. He sent it to Mara's station. 2 days later, his tablet buzzed. Mara had replied, not with text, but with her own echo. He turned on the device, and then he heard it. Her voice soft, close, like she was right beside him. I got your message. I played it by the river. The birds stopped singing, like they were listening too. A pause. Then a laugh. I miss you, Eli, but I don't feel far away. Not tonight. The light in the stone pulsed blue, her favorite color. Tears filled his eyes. Not from sadness, not from connection. It wasn't magic, but it felt like it. Word spread. People wanted Echo Gardens. Not for business, not for fame, for love. A soldier sent the sound of his child's first steps to his parents overseas. An old woman in Iceland sent the crackle of her fireplace to her granddaughter in Singapore. A teacher in Kenya recorded his students singing a morning song and sent it to his sister in Canada, who played it every sunrise. Each message was short, each one sacred. And slowly, something changed. Not just in the network. In people. They began to listen again, not just to words, but to silence. To breath. To the spaces between. They remembered that love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper carried across the world. Played by a stone in the wind. One evening, Mara appeared on video, her face lit by the soft glow of her echo garden. It's snowing here, she said. And your message just played? The waves, your voice. It felt like home. Eli smiled. You are home, just in a different place. She nodded. We used to think distance was a wall, but we built windows, then doors. Now, we've built a path. He looked at the stone beside him, its light dim but steady. We didn't just keep in touch, he said. We made sure no one has to feel alone again. They called us weak, broke our alliance under the shadow of a dying star, left us burning on 3 continents. But they forgot one thing: humans don't just survive loss. We transform it. We take silence and turn it into song. We take distance and turn it into light. We take missing someone and make it a bridge. Don't need empires to be strong. We don't need war to win. All we need is care and the courage to say, I'm still here. They came with all they had and still lost, because you cannot defeat a species that turns a single heartbeat into a global echo, that values a whisper more than a shout, that believes deep in its soul that no one should have to miss someone in silence. That's not technology. Years passed, not quickly, not slowly, just fully. The world kept turning. People moved, loved, lost, built, broke, healed. And through it all, the quiet link, wingspan, and the echo garden kept growing, not like a company, not like a machine, but like a forest. Quiet, steady, rooted in care. Eli still lived by the sea. The cliff was no longer just a place of memory. It had become a small hub, a quiet station, where new echo gardens were tested, where volunteers came to learn, where people sat and listened to voices from across the world. Mara traveled often: Patagonia, Siberia, the Arctic, but she always came back. Not just to the town. To him. They never said they were together in the way some people define it. No labels, no grand announcements. But when she arrived, he was there. When he was quiet, she knew why. And when she was tired, he'd say, Come on, space girl. The sea's waiting. They had built more than projects. They had built a way of being. But not everyone understood. Some said the Echo Garden was just a toy. Others called it sentimental nonsense. A few even mocked it. You can't fix the world with a rock that plays voices. Eli never argued. He just invited them to listen. And most, after a moment in silence, with a soft voice playing from. A stone would go quiet. Ben say, "I didn't know I needed that." One winter, something changed. A young man named Tomas arrived from a city far inland. His sister had moved overseas for work. They were close, had lived together since their parents passed. But after she left, they grew distant. Calls stopped. Texts went unanswered. He didn't know why. He just knew he missed her. He found the quiet link online. Watched the feed of a forest she once loved. It made him sad, but also hopeful. So he came. Eli met him at the station. "I don't know how to fix it," Thomas said. "I think I hurt her. I didn't call when she needed me. Now she doesn't answer." Eli didn't offer advice. He handed him an echo garden. "Tell her how you feel," he said. "Not in a text, not in a call, but here, in this," and send it to her favorite place. Tomas hesitated, then recorded his message. His voice was shaky. "Hey, Lena, I'm sorry. I should have been there. I was scared. I didn't know what to say. But I miss you. Every day, I set up a garden for you by the old river trail. If you ever come back, it'll be waiting. And so will I." He sent it and left. Eli thought that was the end. But 2 weeks later, Tomas returned with his sister. She stood at the edge of the cliff, wind in her hair, holding her own echo garden. She had received the message, played it by the river, cried, then booked a ticket home. "I didn't think he remembered," she said softly. "But he did. He remembered everything." Eli smiled. "That's what this is for. Not just to stay in touch. To say, I still see you. I still know you." More people came. A father who hadn't spoken to his daughter in 10 years. Teacher who missed her students after retirement. A soldier returning from service, unsure how to reconnect with his family. Each one found a way, not through grand gestures, but through small, honest moments. And slowly, the idea spread beyond the coast. Schools began teaching connection studies, not about technology, but about empathy, listening, the power of presence. Hospitals installed echo gardens in waiting rooms, playing voices from loved ones. Even prisons used them so children could hear their parents' voices, not through a broken phone, but in a calm, real way. No one planned it, no one let it. It just grew. Because humans remember how to care. Just need a way to begin. One evening, Eli and Mara sat on the cliff as they always did. The sky was clear. Stars above. Waves below. She looked at him. "Do you think we made a difference?" He didn't answer right away. He turned on the echo garden. And one by one, voices played soft, warm, real. A child laughing in Norway. An old man humming a song in Japan. A woman whispering, "I'm not alone." In Kenya, each one had sent their moment to this place, the birthplace of the garden. Mara smiled. "They're sending it back to us." Eli nodded. "Not because we asked, because they wanted to." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Didn't fix everything. People still move, still hurt, still lose each other." "No," he said. "But now they have a way, not always to the same place, but to the same feeling." She closed her eyes. "Home. Exactly. They called us weak, broke our alliance under the shadow of a dying star, left us burning on 3 continents. But they forgot one thing: humans don't need to conquer to change the world. We change it quietly. With a voice in the